Right, good evening, everybody. Hello, welcome. It's round 7 of League of Europe. I'm QVR Killer to take you through proceedings. We're back from a week off. We're here at Monza. We're into the second leg of the season. We have another break week to come later on. But for now, we're into the middle third, the middle act of this, the 10th season of League of Europe. And with me, once again, is Oxide Nova. How are you, kind sir?
I am very, very good. Glad to be back. 2 weeks felt long, also felt quick at the same time. Weird. But yes, glad to be back. Had some good races already this season, so I think at Monza we're in for another banger, especially considering we've loaded in and it's raining. Exciting stuff, can't we?
It is raining. A wet quali to come, and this is really going to put a spanner in the works. If it's a dry quali, how much these guys want to compromise their wing setups? Because Monza is an ultra low downforce track. We're going to see people using, 5.4, 6.4 wings as low as. How much do you compromise yourself for quali? Because you could go for a completely dry setup, but you could find yourself absolutely shafted in the next 18 minutes. So what do you think people are doing here? It's looking like one of the Mercedes, coming out there. No, it's an Alpine, sorry. That must be Justas. Oh, no, it's Felipe. He's gone, obviously, for a completely dry setup, but he's gone straight out. But what would you do in this situation if you see dry race, wet quali?
No,
How are you reacting here?
I'm not too sure. If it is a dry race, I'd still go for a dry setup personally. Just because, obviously, let's not forget, with it being Monza, if it was a different track, maybe you'd be able to get away with it. But the fact that it is Monza, in the race, you'll just get absolutely swallowed up by everybody else if your wings are too high. So, yeah, interesting to see, actually. We might see a few people going for that wetter setup, trying to get a bit of a Hail Mary in qualifying, get up there. Some people we've never seen before, like Felipe, who is out on the track right now. But yeah, personally, I would always go for the dry setup if there is a dry race. But you never know, there could be a wet race as well, so it'll be interesting to see what the top speeds are of the drivers when we get a few on board.
Well, let's follow on with Felipe. It's intermediate conditions. Actually, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go through the championship standings. We were a little slow getting going. Montana leads with 108 points in the championship. Justas is 16 behind in the Alpine on 92. He had a challenging week last week, P5 for him, and missed Spain, of course, the week before. So only 10 points from 2 rounds for Justas, who is the early pace hitter in D1. Cucumber is hot off the back of back-to-back second-place finishes, as Montana is off the back of back-to-back third-place finishes. Cucumber has 83, 74 for his teammate NSX Connor. He won at Spain a couple of weeks ago. Sweet Crown on 62. He's on a bit of a barren run, a 12th, an 11th place, a 6th place, and a 10th place in his last 4 rounds. And then QVR Campbell, last week's race winner. He is on 57, and our reigning champion, of course. Nathan's on 49, Jill Bream on 42, Verstappen 34, and Gary on 30. This is Gary's favourite track on the calendar, so I'm expecting big things from that man. I tell you what, just to put a little bit of extra pressure on him, let's go on board with Gary for this lap. Have you got anyone you're fancying this week, or around Monza?
I must admit, I remember last year, and obviously on F1 22, Felipe was really good. Of course, it was in Division 2 around Monza, as like you say, we're right on board with Gary now going towards Turn 1. So I'm interested to see if he can get a good result. Can Felipe, of course, the reigning Division 2 champion. Let's see what the braking's like for Gary going into Turn 1 now. Keeps it nice and straight. You can see how much on the brakes he's having to feather the pedal there to really kind of get the car rotating, especially at the apex. But seems good enough so far. A bit of a switch coming out there, but of course something to not be expected in these intermediate conditions. You can see here as well going through curve of Grande, everybody keeps to the right hand side to kind of keep as less of the track as possible as we go to this chicane. This chicane is so hard to get right, as we've just seen from Gary there, because he locks up, pushes the car wide, and that's costing him a lot of time. It's so easy to clunk over the curves and really end your lap there. Going into the Lesmos now, what's the line going to be like? Of course, in the wetter conditions, you have to keep off them curves, as he has done. Chuck it into the second Lesmo now, so easy to get some rear wheel spinning, but he keeps it on the track well. Of course, you'd usually open DRS there if it was in dry conditions. We don't know. Going towards the Scari now, some of the most satisfying corners on the calendar, must be said, especially in dry conditions, but it's going to be so much harder in the wet. Let's see what he does. He goes in at 4th gear, looks like a really good line for himself, has to feather the throttle so much to get through there without spinning, keeps it nice towards the track without going too far wide. He won't get a slipstream from the car in front, but will be a bit of a co-hindrance going into the final corner. Hopefully they don't get in the way too much. But as we go in now, where's he going to brake? He picks just as the AstroTurf comes on the left-hand side. Keeps it nice and tight going into Parabolica now. Usually in the dry conditions, you keep it all the way to the right to gain some time, but it's a lot harder in the inside. So let's see what he can do as he comes across the line. First person set lap time, and it's 26.8. Let's see if that's beaten anytime soon.
Well, let's go on board with his teammate. It was a nice lap from Gary. He kept it nice and tame and sensible. Through Ascari, he looked particularly nice. He let the car run wide on the exit of Ascari, which is turn 10. And just to pick up the throttle nice and early, you don't want to hook the car in too early as you would in the drive, because you're just going to invite the rear wheels to spin if you ask a little too much of them. You want to try and accelerate, brake, rotate as much as you can in a straight line. Verstappen goes quickest, 26.7. Justas, 26.9. It's looking good for the Altera so far. Kriko, 26.9 as well. 3/1000s quicker than Justas. Behind them, P2 in the championship, of course. QVR Alp has 1 point so far this season as Montana goes fastest with a 26.484. Let's have a look what Alp can do. He looked good in the rain in Japan until he got spun round with that collision with Montana at turn 3. And anyone else improving? Marty goes P6 with a 26.9 ahead of both Mercedes. A poor first run for the Mercedes, 7/10 down on what Montana's managed. But everyone's all in just about the same ballpark, which is impressive considering it's dry. I say that. Matt 240 does 1 minute 29.4. What can his teammate do? Alp to the line. It's a 27.2, just 4,000 shy of the Mercedes pair. So those the Mercedes and the McLaren struggling on their first runs. Have we got anyone else who's close to the line? Rocco's coming round. That's Parabolica to the line. Now what can Rocco do in the Red Bull? Wasn't a good day for Red Bull in Singapore. Will it be a good day for them in LE? Rocco goes P2 with a 26.6. Makes you think he's compromised his setup a little bit for qualifying. And Campbell P3.
Yeah, like we said, I think we're going to see some people kind of not usually where they're supposed to be. I mean, speaking of which, Justas in P7, that's not something he'll be expecting. Usually when he goes towards pole, as Mohammed goes P2 as well in the Ferrari. Great time from him. Justas then, as I say that, actually completely destroys what I said there. Goes pole position, followed by Verstappen. So these laps are coming in thick and fast. I think all the drivers do at least a couple runs on the first set of inter tyres. So with that said, Justas now in first. And Cucumber goes second. And the Alfa Romeos, of course, who has been so brilliant in the last few races in qualifying and in the race, of course, only one of them on the grid this week. But Cucumber, brilliant getting P2 as well. And like I say, just as I was about to praise Montana for doing the best lap on the first run, it's actually Justas from Cucumber and Verstappen now.
Well, like you say, I think we're going to see a multi-lap first run, so this could come back Montana's way. We've got McLaren has dropped it in the middle of Parabolica. We're on board with Nathan at turn 4 and 5. Sorry, turn 3 is Curva Grande. It's a non-corner in these cars, perhaps a little trickier in the wet, and then the first Lesmo is well negotiated, stays clear of the curb on the exit. Don't want the car to bottom out, and it can bottom out particularly over this curb here at the exit of Lesmo 2. The car can just get sucked in a little bit through the kink of the straight there as you come towards going under the old banking towards turns 8, 9 and 10, the Ascari chicane. I think the trickiest part of the circuit. Alp does go P2, 26.4 for him. Yes, that has a nice margin so far. Nathan is someone who needs to improve from his first lap, which was a 27.1. We've got 11 drivers in the 1 minute 26s right now, and we've got another 6 who haven't set laps at all, and then Nathan and Matt on the 27 and the 29. I think it was Matt who spun at Parabolica because Alp, as you just mentioned, improved. Let's see what Nathan can do to the line now. It's a 26, it's a 26.6, goes P9, just edges out his teammate. Those Mercedes are magnetised together in this early first run of the session.
Yeah, it looks like it. Montana as well coming around the final corner as well now. He was 2.5 tenths up, so this could put him close to pole position, if not on pole position. Comes up to the line now. Let's see what he does. Still got enough ERS to use, so surely this will be close to pole position. Yes, it is. He's up, and it's almost over a tenth of a second, actually. So again, Montana and Justas seem to be battling it out for the first 2 places on the grid. Justas just starting his lap, actually, now. He's down by a tenth, so maybe he's actually coming into the pit potentially as we go through the first sector with himself. But like I say, yes, usually we'll be expecting to see other drivers kind of coming here, there and everywhere in a wet session, but it seems to be the usual suspects coming to the front.
Well, I'm trying to see if who we've got on a lap. I think Felipe is starting or he's ending. Let's see what he does. He has a 28.3. That's a second and a half off of what Marty's managed in P13 right now. We've just seen a change up front. That's Verstappen, I think, going ahead of Rocco. No, it wasn't. It was... Who was it? It was Alp going up to P4, I think. I saw someone improve on that left side. Oh, no, it was Gary. It was Gary's gone P2. So AlphaTauri back onto the front row there, provisionally. We've got a Red Bull running very slow. That's just coming into the pit lane. We've got a Mercedes to the line as well. I think that's going to be Campbell. Campbell's gone invalid, so he's not going to improve this lap. Nathan has backed off as well. They seem to be doing quick lap, slow lap, quick lap. They can't be running 2 quicks in a row. That's presumably an ERS thing, I would imagine. We've got Verstappen coming to the line now. He's invalid. He's going in for a second set of tyres, so he's had enough. So I wonder if they're going to go for all 3 sets or just for the 2. Maledictus isn't going to improve either. He's had a quite good session on a 26. Felipe's improving, and Peas and Jewelbream haven't set laps yet. But Jewelbream, I think, is on a quick one now.
So I think a lot of the drivers are, I think if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure the weather's getting a little bit better now. I'm not sure if it's getting to that point where they're going to think about potentially dry tyres going towards the end. Probably a bit too wet for that towards the end of the session, but it does look like the times are going to be coming thick and fast. As you say, Gary going into P2 as well. I'm trying on board with Felipe here as well, coming around the final corner. Keeps it tight to the right-hand side. He is up on his own time by a second. This should put him towards the top 10 or so. P13 in the end for the Alpine driver. But like I say, Gary, great lap when he comes to the pits now as well. And I think most of the drivers are done on their laps at the moment. A Sweet Crown potentially another lap. As is Nathan actually going towards Ascari now. He's up by just 100th of a second. I mean, he had a little help here, but let's see what he can do going through Ascari's got a yellow flag in the first sector. I think it is Sweet Crown just slowing down as Jewelbream goes P2.
And P's P4.
P's P4 as well, the Haas team, after an incredible qualifying for them in Singapore. Seems to be backing that up as well as Campbell goes P3 as well in the Mercedes. And it looks like I said, the times are just coming down thick and fast. What about Nathan coming around the final corner now in the system Mercedes-Benz? Is he going to come to the line or is he going to go into the pits? He is coming to the line. So let's see if he's going to be able to improve on his time. He must be going across the line now. Yes, up into P7. And the drivers are just really getting to grips now, I think, with the track conditions. And we're going to see some times surely in the 25s sooner rather than later.
I think we've got, what we have here is a few drivers are out of sync with each other because some have done longer runs on that first set. Some have gone for 3 flying laps or 4 flying laps, and others have only gone for a couple. So some are on fresh tyres, some probably are not. I'll be honest, I can't keep track of. Oh, there we go. Actually, let's have a look. Tyre. So Campbell's done 5 laps on that tyre. Montana's put a fresh set on. He's on an out lap. Jewelbream is on a fresh set as well. Gary's in the pits, but will go out on a fresh set. Justas on a fresh set. Alp has put soft tyres on, or he's equipped soft tyres in the pit lane. He's gone back onto Inters now. Who else is on a longer run? Sweet Crown's on a longer run. Nathan, so both Mercedes have done long runs. They've not changed tyres yet since the start of the session, so they're going to go for 2 sets of Inters, and presumably they're going to come in fairly soon and change towards the end. Let's see what Mohammed can do. He's coming up to Parabolica, now called the Curva Alboreto, I do believe, if my knowledge serves me well, in the special liveried Ferrari there, and letting the car run a little bit to the outside, but it'll bring it to the sweep it to the right hand side for a short run to the line. It's going to be a 26. It's a 25.9. Mohammed goes provisional pole by 2 tenths nearly. He shaves off Montana's time. We've got anyone else improving. Campbell's into the pit lane. Gary's on an out lap. Pease is on an in lap. Justas has just started on a fresh set of inters. So we've got a new time to aim for, and it's a 25.9.
Yeah, I think everyone has.
Never mind.
Crossline as well, 25.6 of the times, always coming down. I was just about to say, just over a second does the entire grid. I mean, that is something you don't really see much, especially in Division 1. But I mean, looking at this now, look, a second. It doesn't matter who you are, Marty, Crico at the bottom, Felipe, you never know. They could put a lap time in towards the end that puts them towards the top because the track is just getting better and better. Like you say, Justas on his lap now, just riding on board with him as he comes through the middle sector now. A Sweet Crown, I think, goes P2. Yes, he does in the Red Bull car.
Pease
so yes,
improving.
the times are coming down as well. Pease improving as well through Ascari. So it's going to be Pease and followed by, of course, Justas just behind him. Pease looks like he got a little bit a twitch of the rear end there as he went through Ascari. But yes, like I say, improving at the moment. I've got yellow flag in the final sector. I think it's just someone slowing down to come into the pit lane. Let's see what Pease does coming around the final corner now. Like I say, the Curva Alboreto, formerly known as the Parabolica, of course, comes up towards the line now. What will he do? He keeps it to the right hand side, so surely the drivers do have the confidence to do that now. Comes across the line, P2, so the track is definitely improving. What about Justas as he comes across the line now as well? Oh, he's only, what, P3? That's surprising. Surprising for Justas. I expected him to be a little bit better than that, as Mohammed, I think, went P2 again. Yes, he did. So Mohammed, another good lap time, getting into P2. And like you say, some of the drivers are really out of sync with each other now. And we've got some more drivers coming across the line, surely.
I think some of these guys are playing Russian roulette in the bottom half of the field, all those in the pit lane. It's stopped raining, and I think it's nip and tuck here. Some of them are going to try dry tyres. Some will say out on inters, and it's going to be, they're playing dice here as to what the quicker way to end this session could be. Let's pull tyres up. No one has put the dries on. Verstappen goes P2, only a tenth shy of Montana, who's improved as well. Cucumbers into the pit lane. Rocco coming up to the end of the first sector. Who else have we got? Pease on in the lap. Justas, I don't think, is going again. Sweet Crown is coming into the pit lane. He's not going again. I think some of these guys are going to go for dry tyres potentially. The Mercedes have both gone out on Inters, and they know their stuff, so I'm inclined to say it's going to be Inters to the end because they're not going to be able to change that now. So Campbell and Nathan, fresh Inters. No one else is gone out on dries yet. I think a few people are just playing chicken in the garage a little bit. I don't think anyone's improving on their lap time right now. Gary has just improved to P4, but no one else is up. So what are you thinking? I know we're not driving. We can't really tell what the track looks like too much because it could look differently as Justas goes pole position by a tenth of a second. But would you say this is worth holding out for dry tyres?
I mean, if you the bottom half of the grid, look at the McLarens, the Felipe, the Williams, the Crico, and so on. There's absolutely no reason why not. As actually Justas into turn 1 does a half spin actually after setting that fastest lap, so even too quick for his own standards. But yeah, I mean, riding on board with the drivers now, it does seem like surely with a lap to
Cucumber
get the
softs
up as well. Yeah, like you say, Cucumber on soft as well, coming out of pit lane, puts back on intermediates.
Montana was improving, he's just bailed on his lap. He's coming to the pit lane. Sorry to cut across you.
Yeah, I think potentially, I think you might be right. I think even with the improvements that are going on, the drivers might be coming into the pits because they're thinking, do you know what, this actually might be time to put a strap on a set of soft tyres. But we'll soon see. We could see a few crashes happening in a second, or some brilliant lap times. So interesting to see as Gary's actually up again on his time by 2 seconds a second going through Ascari. So if he can find he has to find half a second as Rocco puts softs on in the pit lane, will he be the first driver to try it out? Jewelbeam comes out on intermediate, so he's not wanting to try out the softest compound of tyres. Rocco puts one in the pits waiting to see. Let's see what Gary does as he comes around the final corner.
Run out of ERS.
Yeah, I think he has run out of ERS, so surely he's not going to be a good time. He's really been caught napping here as he comes across the line. P3, good time from him. But realistically, what he's going to have to do now, the only thing he can do, if he's got enough fuel, is get that ERS back up and then go for a one Hail Mary. But like I say, Rocco put on the soft tyres. And he is coming out actually on the soft tyres, so potentially we could see it. But everybody else is coming out on the inters. They're not willing to take the risk. What about the guys at the back? No, they're on the inters as well. So the only man who seems to be getting brave is Rocco.
Campbell up by nearly 4 tenths of a second through the first sector. The inters are improving rapidly, but are the softs going to improve any more? It is just Rocco by himself who's gone out on the soft tyres. I would, one man against 19, or 18 rather, I would presume, because Isaac Kush has a quality ban, which we've not mentioned, I would presume that means Rocco's gone the wrong way and inters are the way to go. Campbell's going to be the first to set his final lap unless he can go double push. We've got a bit of a queue up at the De La Rosier chicane, turns 4 and 5. You can see on the mini-map on the right-hand side of your screen. But Campbell's up by 6 tenths through the middle sector. He's got Nathan just behind him as well. Marty goes P3 with a 25.4. Gary's slide down the field begins just after tyres. He's not improving from pole position. Campbell does a 25.4. What can Nathan do to the line now? He goes P3 with a 25.399, 1/100th quicker than his teammate. Gary's got invalid. That's his day done. Jewelbeam, look at the traffic Jewelbeam's coming up to at the Ascari chicane now. Absolute carnage. He's lost his front wing. He's hit the back of a McLaren there. Absolute idiocy from all involved. It's pathetic driving. Just take to the gravel, for God's sake. And if we got anyone else, Maledictus was on a lap. He's just cut the corner. He's backed off. Felipe's going slow. But look at this. We're on board with Crico. Have we got anyone who's a little bit closer? Jewelbeam's starting. Rocco's coming to the last corner. Rocco's softs don't look too bad through Parabolica, you know. They look okay.
They don't do they? They look like they're going to get the grip. But looking at now, look at the traffic he's got and everybody else has got for that matter. So even if the tyres are better than everyone else, we've got some racing in the background between the Ferrari and the Alpine. Going towards turn 1 now, it doesn't matter what Rocco can do because he's going to get held up in traffic. So the drivers really left it a bit too late. As Rocco, he locks up the rears. It looks like the tyres might not be good enough. It really could be that point now where
Marty's improving.
Against the soft. But yeah, Marty improving as well, like you say, in the Ferrari. Let's see what he does as he comes around the final corner. But look at the mini-map as well, just seeing all them drivers. It's not something you usually expect. But Marty coming across the line now. Where can he put that Ferrari car? He's coming across the line. P2. What a time by 1,000th of a second. Doesn't quite get pole position. So Justas breathes a sigh of relief there. But surely the time is going to be coming thick and fast as Campbell goes to P3.
Gary's crashed. Nathan goes faster with a 25.1. Montana was improving through the first sector, but look at where he is in relation to the traffic. He's about to come across loads of it. If anyone trips over each other. Cucumbers hit Verstappen. We're on board with Montana. There's Verstappen stricken AlphaTauri to the right-hand side of your screen. No, it's not. It's an Alfa Romeo, sorry, not an AlphaTauri. Let's stay on board with Montana. He's the one threatening for a pole position. Verstappen's up by half a second as well, though, as they come into Ascari. What can Montana do? I think it's between Montana and Verstappen and Nathan, who's on pole position right now. Montana's improving by a huge amount. Verstappen's on course for a 1 minute 24. I think they're both on for 24s. Montana has a Red Bull in his way, but he's also got some delightful slipstream. Matt 240 goes fastest with a 25.1. Sweet Crown betters that by 3/100ths of a second. Montana's coming around the last corner. Let's go to Verstappen to the line now. He's currently P11. He goes P1. What can Montana do? Montana stays 10th. And that is your lot. Unless we've got Cucumber was out of the way, it's Verstappen, Sweet Crown on the front row. Matt 240 and P3. It's a Dutch 1-2-3. Pete is 4th. Nathan is 5th. Alp takes 6th. Justas in 7th. Marty did well to get 8th, despite setting his lap early. Campbell and Montana, the last two LOE champions in D1, share row 5. Gary will be bitterly disappointed with 11th. He jumped the gun early on that last run. Mohammed was on provisional pole at one point and then got himself back up to 2nd with another lap. He ends up only 12th. Cucumber's 13th. Rocco's gamble didn't pay off. He's 14th. Crico and Jewelbream on row 8. Maledictus and Felipe on row 9. And is that with his quali ban? What a session that was, and what an end to it we saw.
Incredible. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, really, so the drivers, they only have themselves to blame anyway, because they all came out, and very similar as we see it in real life, actually. They just got each other's way. I mean, Montana, was obviously so far up on his time, but then got caught up behind Rocco. And yeah, a bit of a farce at the end, but what an incredible grid it's given us for the race.
Indeed. What a quali. I think that's one of the best qualifying sessions I've ever seen in LOE. And through all of it, Verstappen, the only man in the 24s, pole position by nearly a quarter of a second from Sweet Crown. Matt 243rd. Pease, Nathan, Alp, Justas, Marty, Campbell and Montana complete the top 10. Gary in 11th, former teammates alongside each other. Mohammed 12th, Cucumber, Rocco, Crico, Jewelbury, Maledictus, Felipe is at. Rocco did not improve on the soft tyres. His best lap was 25.8. He set on the inters. But the 15 drivers covered by a second, and 8/10ths covering 2nd to 15th because of the advantage that Verstappen had. What a session. Absolutely outstanding stuff to watch. Breathless. We've got a dry race. I hope it's as entertaining as quali was. But a dynamic to throw into this that we mentioned at the start is who's compromised their setup more? I know Verstappen was running very low wings around 5.4 in practice. Has he tinkered with that too much in the wet to get pole position, or perhaps he just played a blinder with the timing and with the traffic? It's interesting. It looked like some people there, perhaps higher up than they should have been at various points. I think Marty might have been one who might be running higher wings. We've not seen him at the sharp end too much this season, but this is fascinating. We've got Justas in 7th, Montana in 10th, and Cucumber's out of place as well. We don't have Connor racing this week. This is going to be an absolutely bonkers one.
Absolutely. I mean, like you say, the two championship contenders really kind of out of position. Justas kind of did it for himself, really, because he retired in the pit lane, didn't really have the time, as the formation lap is about to get underway now. But yeah, Montana's got held up behind, and because of that, in P10, he's not going to be happy about that, but of course, he has to get that out of his mind now. One person I really, really, really want to see a good result for, I must say, is Matt 240. One of the guys I used to race with back in the day. We used to be in the same party chats. Used to love doing it himself. Deserves a good result, I think, after a few bad races. So qualifying P3, I would love to see him in that McLaren have a brilliant result. But of course, I would not be surprised to see Justas and Montana plough through this field. And I think with Cucumber in P13 as well, we should be in for an incredible race.
I thoroughly agree. I think all three will have to get their elbows out. We've got a thorough mix of tyres. We have 5 softs, 4 hards, and 10 mediums between our drivers. Verstappen upholstered on the softs. Matt directly behind him on the grid on softs as well. And Nathan also on softs. The first 3 cars on the left-hand side of the grid are starting on soft tyres. Also on soft is Marty and Gary. And then on hards is Justas in P7, Rocco in P14, Jewelbury in 15th, Felipe in 18th. Everyone else has swung medium. And that could make a difference. Justas is going to have his hands full, I think, in the first lap. But if he can survive and get through those first couple of laps, that opening phase of the race, I think he puts himself in a good position. But the thing you can never really account for are safety cars. And an early safety car is only going to break the way of the soft runners here, and potentially the medium runners. I think soft medium or medium soft would be generally the preferred strategy. We shall see in that regard. And as far as we know, it's dry all the way. So I'll ask you, as they come round Curve Alboreto, What's your top three for this race?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, Sweet Crown had a lot of pace in the early part of the season, hasn't had the best few races. Verstappen, of course, we know very much got a lot of pace in that AlphaTauri. So I would not be surprised to see Verstappen, very similar to in real life, actually, just go off into the distance. But I'm really interested to see if Justas can keep Montana behind. That's his main goal, I'm sure, is to just gain some more points on Montana. Both of them having a terrible qualifying, but like I say, if he can have a good start on hold station, should be good for him. But I think, in my own opinion, it's going to be Verstappen who takes the win.
A bold call for Verstappen. Who I don't think he's won an LOE D1 race for a great number of seasons. Isaac takes his place on the grid. It's going to be Verstappen on pole, Sweet Crown alongside him, Matt in third. It's a Dutch 1, 2, 3, as we said. P's in fourth. We've got drivers out of position everywhere you look. It's lights out, and we are underway in Monza. It's a good start from Verstappen. And look at P's already alongside and ahead of Matt 240 towards turn one. Nathan is looking to pick his way through this as well as they come to the braking zone for the Retifilio chicane. It looks nice and tidy as they squeeze through. Justas is trying to make moves early on Marty. Alps looking hungry as well down in P8. Montana has gained a place. He's up in ninth. And Campbell as well. It's not been a great start for Gary. He's lost a place on the soft compound tyres as they come towards the second chicane here, the De La Rogier chicane. Nathan was having a sniff at the back of Pease, couldn't make anything of it. And they all filter through nice and tidily. We've got a yellow flag in the background, so not clean all around. Montana gets around the outside of Alp at turn 5. He's up into P8 now, and it's Cricco in the back who's come a cropper. Rocco as well, he was on the hard tyre, so a difficult start for him. And he'll be hoping for a safety car to break his way later in the race. Nathan is the one desperate to make a move up the inside of Pease now. He's gained 2 places on this opening lap, off Matt and then off Pease. Pease where he started, but the cars either side of him have swapped places. But Verstappen's not been able to make a break through it. He's still P1, but Sweet Crown is hunting him all the way.
Absolutely, as we go down towards the parabolic, and I like to say Nathan again going for another move on the Red Bull potentially. In the background as well, the 2 championship contenders, Montana and Justas, going side by side. Contact between them both. That's not what you like to see, but Montana gets the move done, and Justas is going to want to keep behind him now, but Verstappen just doesn't seem to have straight line speed going across the line. Look at that, almost 3 wide going towards turn 1, and it looks to me like we're going to have a Mercedes, AlphaTauri and Red Bull sandwich going towards the first corner, but look at Nathan potentially going around the outside. Sweet Crown goes into the lead, Nathan using those soft tyres to the max as we go through the first chicane now, and surely going towards the next chicane. He should have a move potentially go around the outside. Just look at the cars, so much fighting and battling going on, and Nathan goes around the outside and does take the lead.
And we've got Matt and P still at it as well towards turn 4 as well, sorry. Nathan takes the lead, Sweet Crown second. Verstappen's lost out, he's down 2 places to third now after leading that opening exchange. Montana's now 7th, Justas is 8th, those two. And it looks like Montana has consolidated that P7 as well. Justas isn't making the hard tyres work too well. Alp can't make any progress either, nor can Campbell. And they're all just filtered now into their little train as Cucumber just pulling out the slipstream there off Mohammed. I don't know if he had a powered exit out of Lesmo too. Side by side goes Izat and Maledictus into a scarring contact between them as well. Izat sneaks around the outside from his qualifying van. He's up 4 places to P15 as they all filter away down towards Montana. And look at Montana, he's passed, he's up the inside of Marty, he gained another one, and let's see, how much of his barrier is he using to do this? He's on 57%, he has a squiggle on the exit of Curveral Barreto, and Marty might tuck back in the slipstream. Nathan sets fast up the race, Montana now sets fast up the race, and in fact, Montana's actually going to set his sights on P's towards turn 1 now. He is a man possessed, is the Swiss, up the inside, and look at Verstappen up the inside of Sweet Crown as well for P2. As they come into the Retifilio, and Verstappen squeezed out a little bit on exit. Is that going to give Matt 240 a chance to outdrag him round Curva Grande? Not on this occasion, but Matt 240 has got Montana now lurking in his mirrors. And look at Justas around the outside of Marty as well now through turn 3. He grabs P7, and he's now got PPs ahead of him for P6. That was a terrible pun. But we've got Marty's hit the gravel on the exit of turn 5, and he's lost 2 places there to Campbell, to Gary, and it's not going good for the Ferraris here.
Absolutely, I don't even know where to look at this point. There's just so many overtakes, so many things happening, but look at how good...
into the wall!
In the background. Yes, I think it's Marty, it is, after a terrible few corners, and he has caused a safety car to come out. Now that slows everything down. Let's see what the drivers do with this one, but yes, he just got on the gravel on the outside, and we saw just the end of that crash, and he went into the barrier, so easy to do, especially in qualifying. But as we can finally settle things down now, it is Nathan in the Mercedes, an incredible start from him, 4 positions where he started. Sweet Crown in second, Verstappen in third, Matt in P4. Great race so far from himself. And then, of course, championship leader Montana had a great start up into P5. And at the moment, it just looks to me like there's just so much happening. Who knows? One man I will say, though, who's had a bit of a start that I wouldn't expect from himself is Cucumber. You know, great pace usually, but he's still down in P12.
He is. None of our soft runners are electing to come into the pit. And Cucumber's on mediums. I wouldn't expect him to be too slow. Mohammed, oh no, we have got a couple of pitters, have we? Yeah. We've got Gary's in off the soft tyres, Mohammed's in, Julbream's in, Maledic's in. Let's see if any of these have wing damage. Julbream's coming in off the hard tyre. So has he got some damage that he's accumulated? When the safety car came out, the top... no, he hasn't. He's just going on for medium tyre. But no wing damage at all that I can see for anyone in the pit lane. And that is the case. So good for Gary. He's at the front of that now. And he's made his mandatory stop. And it is a long pit loss here because the cars are going at full speed past the pit lane. There are no chicanes or anything. The pit loss is about 25 seconds here. It is a long one. But what I was going to say, I've completely forgotten. So I'll go back to you.
Well, one thing I will say is definitely that because these drivers, yes, they put hard tyres on. Yes, it's only lap 4. But they definitely could go to the end on these hards. Yes, of course, they won't feel good. They'll feel a bit like chewing gum towards the end. But depending on how well they can look after their tyres, could see them at the front for all these drivers. If they keep doing what they're doing, apart from Jewellery, of course, on the mediums, potentially would need another pit stop with that, expecting potentially on safety car as well, is the Haas driver. But, like we say, this could really put these drivers in contention for the higher positions towards the end of the race, unless we can see the top half of the grid pull away from them after the restart.
That has reminded me what I was going to say, which was when the safety car came out, the top, I want to say 14, 15, wherever to where Felipe was covered by 6.5 seconds. We're only on lap 3, but still, 6.5 seconds in 3 laps is a tiny field spread for 14 or 15 cars. They weren't stringing out at all. And it seems hard to see that's going to change too much. I mean, they all looked like almost it was lap 1 as they were coming down towards Parabolica on when the safety car came out. So I think as Montana fakes a pit stop there, if there's no more safety cars and Gary stays in this train, and this train stays as compact as it did for the first 3 laps, in my opinion, I think Gary may have just about finessed a race victory here. If he keeps it clean, if the train stays together, and if there's no more safety cars. If those 3 things swing Gary's way, it's hard to see Nathan, Sweet Crown, Verstappen, Montana et al. Pulling back that pit stop margin. They might get about 14, 15 seconds in field spread, which means they'll have 10 seconds to hunt down and overtake him in whatever time they have. And if everyone's within DRS, it'll be less than that, actually. Gary's P13. If everyone's 0.8 of a second separated on average, Gary's only going to be 11 seconds off the race lead or so when they come into pit. So if Gary can stay in that in a DRS train to the leader, he's in really great shape right now.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I must admit, especially with the amount of cars he has behind him who have also pitted. Let's not forget, of course, with the 10-second loss, let's say that they'll have the leaders compared. They'll still have to get past everybody else as well before they get to Gary. So, yeah, I completely agree. Now, what Gary definitely wants now is for there to be just some clean green flag running until everybody else has pitted. As we speak of which, the safety car is coming in this lap, so it'll be really, really intriguing now to see what Gary and co do with this, of course, trying to get back past everybody else.
Indeed. So it's going to be interesting with the softs. How are the softs going to hang on? They had 3 laps in them, which wasn't too much, but then there are another 2 safety car laps. Nathan is going to be the one to release them. There's only 3 soft runners out there, and they are 3 of our top 4. Sweet Crown, the other one. The hards have consigned to the bottom half of the field. Apart from Justas, he continues to be an outlier in this race. So if you're Nathan, when are you going to go? I'm going to say you're going to go nice and late. Try and minimise the slipstream Sweet Crown gets. Go as you come out of Parabolica. Take them all the way to the line. And I think that's a good strategy, unless you want to go super early or super late. Nathan's taking a very high line through Parabolica. Look at this. He wants to pick up the throttle as early as he can, or he's just trying to bait Sweet Crown. And we're about to get racing here onto lap 6. Nathan's still not gone. The pack is so condensed, and Nathan goes now, and he pops the ERS on immediately, but Sweet Crown will grab his slipstream from the back of that Mercedes, and I think Nathan has survived this just about, but Verstappen might not have done. And Pease especially, look at Justas alongside the Haas as they come towards turn 1, almost hitting the back of Montana there. Pease squeezes him all the way to the outside, but it switches to the inside for Justas, and out of a drag race out of turn 2. It looks like Sweet Crown might have played that one just about right. Campbell and Alp as well, and they're all tangled up in the backfield. I'm talking NFL here in the backfield. But look at 88 Mohammed now in the slipstream of Isaac, who's up to P11. Gary's lost a place, down to 14th. Remember, Isaac had a quali ban here. Mohammed's up the inside of Isaac towards turn 4. Can't quite move. Gilbream has made a move, though, on Gary. He's up to P13. But I said they needed to stay together. There's already a break in the train between Isaac and Cucumber. Not what the early pitters needed at all. Nathan leads by 0.4 of a second from Sweet Crown. Verstappen's in third. Matsu 44th. It's all been nice and clean up front.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, a bit of battling in the background as well. Like you said, the guys who've already pitted, creating problems for themselves, really. But it's a Cush keeping everybody behind him in that Williams, and that is causing issues for them so far.
Gary's got wing damage.
Yes, Gary's got wing damage. I was just about to say that, actually. I think he has got wing damage, hasn't he? So after all that, commentator's curse potentially from ourselves. We've caused an issue there. Rocco gets past him. Potentially see another pit stop from Gary now as he plummets down the field.
Oh, Matt 240 with a big slide.
Yes, Matt 240, big slide out the final corner, and that's put the Haas of Peas around the outside of him. And Montana got back through as well, and he's fallen down at the moment. As Mohammed as well having a bit of a battle. Montana up into P3 too, and yes, there's just so much going on at the moment. Don't even know how to go about it.
And we've got Matt 240 trying to get back at Pease towards turn 1. He'll force his way up the inside. He sends the Haas deep and then gets caught not once, not twice. And now Justas goes through on the exit for P6. And Campbell is getting boxed in here. He sneaks past the McLaren. And behind them, Cucumber and is that Gilbream neck and neck through Curva Grande. Gilbream I think just about ahead. Yes, he is. He's now behind the two McLarens. Campbell has to back off behind Justas. Has a little slide on the exit as well. There was a mistake from someone there. It was Gilbream. He's let Cucumber back through into Lesmo 1 as he got on the rough stuff on the exit of turn 5. But now, look, he's trying to force his way back up the inside of Lesmo 2. They're feeling very ballsy out there today, these drivers. Izat sitting behind them in 12th. He's not pitted yet. He's the last of the... the last of the non-pitters. Gilbream has pitted. He's in P11. He's now in the prime position to win this race in Gilbream. You could be looking at, well, you are looking at right now, our net race leader in P11 as Cucumber's now pursuing Alp towards the last corner here, towards Curva Alboreto. And he's not got the wings, though, to do anything about that McLaren. As they come across the line to start lap 8, it is Nathan from Sweet Crown. Montana's up to P3. He's dragged himself up the field. And he's now pursuing the Dutchman of Sweet Crown. It was a Dutch 1-2-3 at the start. It's not a Dutch 1-2-3 anymore. And look at how the train is hanging together nicely. The two McLarens are going wheel to wheel towards turn 1. Alp up the inside of Matt 240 and makes the move as Gilbream defends from Cucumber as well. A little bit of ragtag tapping going on in there. As look at that in the back. Felipe and Crico have had a little collision there at turn 1.
I think so. I was just about to say actually as well, it looks to me like even though there's obviously been a bit of bumping, a bit of barging, the racing has been brilliant so far. Shame to see those guys coming together towards the end of lap number 7. But yes, it's Nathan out front at the moment in the Mercedes, not really able to leave Sweet Crown behind. I mean, looking at that as well, he's having to use some of his ERS to keep I guess ahead of the Red Bull at the moment. Montana as well, just doing everything he can to stay with these two at the moment. I think he's just playing the long game, as is Verstappen in the Alpha Tauri as well. But P's great start from him to keep it into P5 at the moment, and Justas just about hanging on. He's going to have to make sure he can have a brilliant second stint this race, otherwise he's going to have some issues. We're going towards the parabolic, and now look how close Montana is to the back of Sweet Crown now. I think he's taking his time really thinking about this, but Sweet Crown also right in the back of the Mercedes as well, as we see some of the guys battling in the background. But will we see another 3 wide going towards turn 1 potentially between these three? Because as we go across the line to start lap 9, these guys are so close to fighting. And yes, Sweet Crown looks like it's going down the inside, but then look at Montana as well, going down the middle, flies it through like an absolute rocket and up into P1. The Aston Martin, what a move to get through the middle of both of them. Montana
was running 357 kilometers an hour there. Sweet Crown was bounced off the limiter at 344. Montana is running some dry, skinny wings, and that is why he's been able to maximise every opportunity that's been given to him to make an overtake. He now leads from Sweet Crown. Nathan's down 3rd. Verstappen, our pulse hitter, is doing a good job in 4th. Peter's 5th. Justas is still running a lonely race in 6th, but hanging on to the leading battle nonetheless. Gilbream 7th. Alp's 8th. Campbell's 9th. Campbell was 7th this time last lap. He's now down to P9. Matt 240 Cucumber. We've got 2 trains here, and what we need really is we need Gilbream to drag his way into DRS range of Justas. To do that, He's got to be quicker than Montana, the leader, because Montana's the one leading that train. He's the one pulling them along. So Gilbream has to outpace Montana if he wants to bring this field back together. He's got someone off very deep. That's Pease at the exit of Ascari. And Justas goes through into P5 on the hard compound tyre.
Yeah, I think the Haas driver is starting to really struggle now, obviously with the pace up front, and because of that, Pease, yes, like you say, got a bit wary on the outside of Ascari, and that's let Justas through, and yes, he's just about, I think, within DRS of the guys in front. Yes, he is, and we'll see some more battling as well, potentially between Nathan and Sweetcrown. Nathan goes around the outside, and it's an easy move in the end on those soft tyres, but Montana, who's actually run out of ERS now, so he's going to have to hope that he can stay ahead of this group and not get DRS assistance, because at the moment, if he does give them DRS, they're going to be right on the back of him once again. But yes, great move from Nathan to get around the outside of the Red Bull going in towards turn 1.
And that mistake for Pease has actually brought everyone into DRS range. Gilbream has done it. And that means our top 13 down to Izat now are all in DRS of each other, of those ahead of them. And Montana has been pegged back by Nathan as well. So Gilbream, having made that pit stop, he's picked up a penalty. Having made that pit stop, Gilbream, if he can take those tyres to the end, which is a tough ask, they've got 17.5 laps more to do. But if he can, Gilbream is comfortably in the net lead of this race. He's only 3.4 seconds off the lead, and he's made a pit stop. He's in a fabulous position.
This could be one of the most amazing stories we've seen. It's actually, he almost gets wide there, so I don't want to commentate his curse him too much. But I was just looking as well from the gap to the leader, to everybody else, and it's 15 seconds that separates. Sorry, 17 seconds that separates the top 16 drivers. And that is, I mean, it's just incredible to see. Like you say, there's so much DRS training going on there. It just means that everyone's so close together. And yes, like you say, Gilbream making the move on his teammate. Not too much fighting going on there between the two Haas drivers. I think Pease understands, especially with that penalty as well, that Gilbream needs to come through to potentially get a win for the Haas team, right onto the back of Justas now as well. But yes, going towards turn 1, we see, I think, Matt in the background as well, potentially going for a move on the sister Mercedes of Campbell. Yes, he does, but he can't quite make it. And that's put Cucumber right in the back of him as well. But like I say, 15 seconds separates the top 16 drivers. This race just seems to be going incredibly so far, so I'm so intrigued to see when the pit stops come, who's going to be able to get out in front in the end.
I feel like another safety car is due to throw a spanner into the works here. History tells me it's probably going to be Izat in P13 right now on the exit of Ascari, but yeah, top 13 drivers split by 7.1 seconds. There is a relentlessness to the pace of this race that, you know, no one can get away from anybody, and it is just train riding. And it's about not making mistakes. And Montana, right now, he did his best to break that. In the end, he broke it and has gained nothing for it because Nathan's in his DRS, and Nathan is sitting pretty with twice as much DRS right now as Montana has in his Aston Martin. There's a little bit of a gap broken out to Sweetcrown, but it's only 8 tenths per second. Sweetcrown has ERS in hand. He can use and just ease that gap back up again. It is just a back and forth. It's like a 12-round heavyweight bout as Justas has a moment through the parabolic. And we've got pit stops, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Nathan, we have Verstappen, we have Pease, all into the pit lane here. We have Matt 240 as well. They've all come in together, and Izat. They're all coming in early. They're going for an aggressive undercut. If this works, they could find themselves in some really nice track position. If Nathan has a flying lap here, he could be more than a second clear of Montana by the time he comes out. And I saw there, a front wing needed. That's for Izat changing in the pit lane, so he's going to drop out of that train. Felipe's in as well. He's also getting a new front wing. But if Nathan puts on a flying lap here, he could have a very commanding lead in about 80 seconds' time.
Absolutely. Like you say, I mean, I'm just so intrigued now to see what's going to happen with Gilbream. I mean, he's right on the back of Justas. Obviously, he's got a long way to go on those medium tyres. If there's not another safety car, though, he'll be so far ahead of everybody else when the pit stops have been done. So I'm so intrigued to see what happens now. Justas under pressure from the Haas driver, as we say that as well. But most of the drivers did go onto the medium tyres. Actually, P's go onto the hard, so he's not looking to go onto a medium set of tyres there. I think he was actually on medium, so obviously he couldn't have gone to the softs towards the end potentially. But at the moment, looking at Gilbream, should be getting the move done on Justas towards turn 1 if that is what he wants to do. But like you said at the front too, Montana not pulling away after using all his ERS, and that has meant that it's put the rest of the drivers in such a better position for them, because of course on those mediums these guys are going to be staying out, so the undercut that people like, of course, like Nathan and everybody else, is surely going to be massive. As we said, Gilbream gets past Justas going towards turn 1 as well. So
there's an interesting split decision here in the medium runners. Campbell has come in and he's going medium hard. Montana's staying out, and I think he's going medium soft. So that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Where's Campbell going to come out in relation to his teammates? He's going to be well behind. but he was behind anyway. So he's going to be behind Verstappen, behind Pease. Is he going to be ahead of Matt 240? I think just about for Campbell. As it's going to be very close actually towards turn one. Matt 240 might just outbrake him here, and he does. He is ahead just as they get into the braking zone. He takes P13. Campbell slips down to P14.
What a powerful undercut that shows that is as well. Sorry to cut across you. I mean, just look at the amount of time that he's lost compared to everybody else. This could be one of the most incredible upsets if we can see these drivers keep the cars behind, because obviously with Montana coming through so brilliantly before, but at the front he's going to have at least a few more laps on those tyres. We'll see Cucumber actually on the inside of Alp. Surely we're going to see these drivers fighting for the win that we just wouldn't expect to see. I'm so excited for these last 10 laps. They need to come sooner.
Well, if there is no safety car, and we're looking at a battle for P2 really, because Jules Bream is 20 seconds ahead of Nathan as Montana does pit.
Pits.
And Sweet Crown thought about it, now some slipstream, avoided it. But yeah, Jules Bream's going to be 20 seconds ahead of the next person who's pitted in this race. So if those medium tyres do work, he's going to be caught because they're going to be a lot older. They're going to be 8 laps older, but 20 seconds older? I don't think so. I think Jules Bream, if the mediums hang on for as long as they do, he's played a blinder here. Let's have a look where Montana comes out. He's behind Nathan, comfortably behind Nathan. He's going to be behind Verstappen. He's going to be behind Pease. So he's been massively undercut there. And rather than staying out and going for the soft tyres, he's now on the hard tyres. So he's on a slower tyre than Verstappen and Nathan, and he's now lost track position. He's going to have to all that good work he did. He's now going to have to do again. He may as well have just pitted when Pease did.
Yeah. I mean, obviously hindsight is a wonderful thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it was China where we questioned at the time Montana's decision to stay out when it was raining, and it ended up winning the race. So I won't count our chickens just yet. But at the moment, Jules Bream, as we said before, is going to be so far ahead. Speaking of which, he's about to make a move for the lead, it looks like, going towards the Parabolica, as we see Nathan also making a move on Mohammed as well, going towards Ascari now. And Jules Bream takes the lead before he even gets to the final corner, and that is your net race leader, and it is the race leader because he's already made his pit stop.
Could have been Gary. It could have been Gary, but here we are. At his favourite track as well. It's Ariel Jules Bream who's in the net and true race lead now. Nathan passes Cricco. He passed Mohammed into Ascari. He's passed Cricco as well. And into turn one. And Jules Bream still hanging on to the lead, but Sweet Crown's challenging him here. Jules Bream have to get the defence on as Jussas will try and out-drag Sweet Crown on traction towards turn 4, towards the De La Roche chicane. He's going around the outside of Curva Grande. He'll switch to the inside for turn 4. He's got the overspeed to make the move and is through into P2. And these guys are going to kick on now. And Justas and Sweet Crown and Cucumber and Alp, they're all going to be switching to the soft tyre, you would imagine. And also worth looking is this man, GTZ Maledictus in P6. He's made a pit stop. He's on the hard tyres. He's even more certain to go to the end than Jules Bream is. He's 11.6 seconds ahead of Nathan right now. And Nathan's got, 12 and a half laps in which to overhaul that and pass him. We could be looking at a Jules Bream P1, a Maledictus P2, and a Nathan P3 here. There's no more safety cars. Maledictus is running an absolutely stonking race by himself. It's been very low-key. We've not mentioned him at all, but he is in a net P2.
Absolutely. Great race from him so far. I think, honestly, when I was looking at it as well, when Jules Bream came in, of course, under... Oh, actually, as he pits, Jules Bream comes into the pits. So he doesn't... I was just about to say, he didn't go onto the hards under the safety car, so he's gone for the two-stop strategy, so I think he wants to strap on a set of soft tyres now. Interesting to see as we see Alp actually making a move on Cucumber as well, going to P3 for the drivers who haven't pitted yet. But yes, like I say, Jules Bream comes into the pits, puts another set of medium tyres on, so not even the soft tyres for the harsh driver. Interesting to see that. I think potentially he could have missed out actually on a race win here by not putting the hard tyres on when he should have done behind the safety car, because it put him out. And look at the gap that he's left now. He's down in P11, P12 potentially if Matt can get through on the inside as well, which I think he does, as does Campbell around the outside potentially. No, Campbell actually loses it and goes across the first chicane, and that's going to be a problem for him coming back on. Doesn't get in the way of anyone, thankfully. But like I say, Jules Bream is not looking for the race win. I think he's looking for more points. But at the moment, as you see Montana battling it out as well on track at the moment with Cricco. But it looks to me like the man who could be potentially going for a race win that we never thought would happen, like I say, is going to be Maledictus in the sister Aston Martin.
I wonder if Maledictus realises the position he's in right now. He must do. Nathan's catching him at a rate of knots. It's 9.0 now. So Nathan is catching Maledictus at a rate above what he needs to. He is well on course to catch Maledictus before the end of the race to give him time to overtake. But if Nathan's tyres start to go off quicker than Maledictus do, and that delta just evens out a little bit between the two cars, Maledictus is in a really good position here to try and win this race. And it makes you wonder, like Gary was on hard tyres as well, that could have been Gary. Why didn't Gilbert make that same calculation? Because we were working on the assumption that he knew what he was doing, but clearly Gilbert has thrown his race away a little bit here as Pease passes Verstappen towards turn one. These two have got Montana just behind them. Gilbert, Matt 240, and Kricko are dicing away towards turn one. Kricko pitted in that early safety car. He's on 13-lap old hard. Gilbert is at the lead of that now. He's in P8. Justas in 11th. And Campbell has recovered somewhat from that mistake as Justas goes up the inside of Kricko, who looked like he was getting out of the way of the man who's second in the championship right now and our Season 7 champion in Division 1. What's Maledictus to Nathan?
Oh, crash!
Oh, Matt 240's out, and it's a full safety car. Sweet Crown, Cucumber, Maledictus. How do you like your luck? 1, 2, 3, there you go. Sweet Crown now in the net lead of this race, lead of this race and net lead of this race. Cucumber second, and for the second time this season, like we saw at Portugal, Nathan's had a win. Crawley stripped away from him by a safety car. We've got 10 laps to go here, and this race has just turned on its head once again.
Incredible. I mean, look at how did you look if you Julbrium as well and Justas? I mean, 1 lap later and they'd have got a free pit stop, kept them in P1 and P2. But Julbrium, after of course pitting for another set of mediums, has now put himself. I mean, realistically, he's only got 1 lap all tyre. So if everybody else pits here anyway, which they are doing, surely we're going to see Julbrium and Justas in P1 and 2 anyway. Sorry, after I say that. So those drivers surely aren't going to come in.
We've got Justas staying out.
Justas is staying out. Julbrium does come into the pits actually, so Justas on those medium tyres realistically didn't have a reason to stay out, but of course that's going to put all the other drivers as we go towards turn 1 now. Where can he get? Yes, he's in P2, but Sweet Crown gets the net race lead. Cucumber, incredible for him. I mean, look, he wasn't having the best race, let's be honest. He was down in P12, P13, stayed out, and incredible look for himself. Maledictus pits as well. Up into P5 now, of course. He was really a net race leader, but because, of course, the safety car came out, he's now stuck in a P5 position. Alp as well, up into P4, and that has thrown everything on its head because looking at that now, Montana Championship leader down in P9 on medium tyres as he comes out of the pits, but everybody else around him on fresh, soft tyres. So this is going to be incredible to see. Can Justas potentially get a win and bring things back? I mean, 9 laps to go. I'm excited for this now.
I am so confused why Montana has made that decision. He started on... He didn't start on softs. I know that much. He started on mediums, didn't he? And then...
Mediums to hards.
He went mediums to hards. He had... And it was a wet quali. Montana had all new sets of softs. Everyone has brand new softs. Because of the wet qualifying session. But Montana has gone for mediums. And that, to me... is a nonsensical decision. No one else. Felipe had stayed out. Justas had only pitted a lap earlier, which is why he's stayed out in P2. I don't know why Montana's not gone for softs. The softs easily lasted 10 laps at the start of the race. Why has he not put them on for the last 10 laps? I don't see the logic in that, and spare a thought for Pease, because this late safety car, bringing the field together, has ruined him with that penalty as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, maybe the only thing I could potentially think of is what Montana was thinking anyway, was maybe the soft tyres, of course, will go off towards the end of this final push stint. Really, it's just a sprint race now to the line. But when the safety car comes in, if it comes in this lap, for example, lap number 20, 7 laps of racing, I mean, realistically, even at full pelt, the softs will last that long. But, of course, we've seen some great overtakes from Montana on harder tyres earlier on in the race. So, I mean, let's see if we can do that. But a man who'll definitely be happy about this, even though potentially could have been in the lead, is Justas in P2, who surely, unless something weird happens in this race now, will find himself gaining some more points back on his championship rival in P9 at the moment.
I am, like you said, just so excited for the end of this race. It's going to be a stonker, and I think we're going to see possibly a few cars take trips through the gravel, maybe some carbon fibre to take a trip into the air. Perhaps if Felipe and Izzat and Mohammed catch up, I think we are set to see safety car in this lap, which will mean we have 8 laps of green flag, 6 laps of DRS to the end of this race. Let's have a look. 31 seconds off the lead is Mohammed right now, but he's backing right off, which annoys me because I want to get back underway. Mohammed. Felipe has caught up. Izzat is catching up. He's doing his best to catch up. Mohammed is going to drag this out another lap. And this is something I don't like to see, actually. I think if you are at the back of the field, in my opinion, which is something no one cares for, but in my opinion, you should be duty-bound to catch up as quickly as possible. You should not be permitted to drive unnecessarily slowly under the safety car if you are allowed to catch up. So that disappoints me because Mohammed could have caught up there, I think.
I completely agree. I think potentially, I mean, only thing I would wonder as to what he's doing is he going to go into the pits again and put another set of fresh soft tyres on? Because if he isn't, it's just completely pointless. Yes, he does come into the pit lane. That's exactly what he was thinking. But even so, see, it's a crush as well coming into the pits. I mean, I'm with you on this one. I feel like not only, you know, for the drivers, but also for us watching as well, it kind of ruins things a little bit. Obviously, he played a bit of a tactical game there. Technically didn't break the rules, but I completely agree in the sense that, you know, he shouldn't be doing anything like that. I mean, because all it's doing now is just meant that instead of 8 laps of racing, it's 7, which just makes it less fun for people watching. So, yeah, hopefully we get things back up and running now. But I'm excited to see, really, one thing also, I'm really excited to see what Cucumber can do. Didn't have the best qualifying, but has some great place usually in that Alfa Romeo, in P3 now on fresh softs. So, yeah, intrigued to see now what's going to happen, and hopefully we'll get the race back up and running now.
Hopefully, if I don't think it'll be another lap. Can't imagine. Yeah, Mohammed is just going around full tilt now. Yeah, it will be into this lap, and it will be enough nose to be given as well. I think Mohammed will be up by the time the safety car gets to Ascari. He's 24 seconds off the lead, so we go back to square one, really, don't we? It's no one's got a penalty apart from P, so everything is for position. And it's Sweet Crown from Justas. It's softs from mediums. Everyone's on softs, apart from Montana now in P9 and Justas in P2. Our championship leaders stand apart from the rest of the field here in Division 1 with 7 racing laps to go. Sweet Crown is in unfamiliar territory. We mentioned he'd only picked up a few points recently. He finished 12th in Portugal. He was 9th in the Spanish Sprint, 6th in the Spanish Grand Prix, and he was 10th in the Imola Grand Prix 2 weeks ago as well. He had back-to-back podiums at China and Japan, second places, and now he has a chance to take the top step as well. He has 7 laps to survive, and he has a buffer of Justas on medium tyres behind him. Who is going to be brave and bold here with just 7 laps to go, of round 7 of Season 10, Division 1 of League of Europe, and they're all really itching to get out of the way. Sweet Crown drops the hammer and leads them on to lap 21 here. Justas tucks in behind, then it's Cucumber, Maledictus and Alp are battling away towards turn 1. Nathan's thinking about a double overtake here, potentially. Campbell's made a move on Crico, already a little bit of contact between Nathan and Maledictus. Montana's up the inside of Verstappen into turn 1, and in fact Nathan's been passed by Pease here. Montana is through on Verstappen, and through Curva Grande we go, and Verstappen's going to tuck back in the slipstream of the the Aston Martin as we go towards turn 4. And look at this, Nathan and Pease side by side towards turn 4. Nathan's on the outside, Pease on the inside. Nathan slides his way through and invites Montana to make a pass as well for P7. Montana's making moves on those medium tyres.
Great start from him coming from the safety car. Now, like we say, usually he can make the moves no matter what tyre he's on. It looks like he's doing it, but he makes a mistake coming out the second Lesmo, and that's going to put Pease right on the back of him now. Don't think he's going to be able to get back past, though, of course, with no DRS now. But yes, like we said, Montana, brilliant start from him. Nathan as well going down the inside of Maledictus, and Maledictus, a man who looked like he could have won the race a few laps ago, is now going to be under the clutches from his teammate in the sister Aston Martin. Justas right on the back of the race leader as well, and going towards the final corner, almost 3 wide, but Justas taking the lead now towards the Parabolica. Cucumber slows it down, doesn't want to get a move done before the end of the lap. Justas gets the lead, but then Sweet Crown gets a bit of a switchback move going on there, and it looks like going across the line side by side. Incredible. If this was the final lap, it'd be an amazing run to the line, but at the moment, looking at these guys now, it looks like Cucumber's going to get 3 wide towards turn 1 as well. Can't be causing any damage here for you 3 drivers, surely, to go towards turn 1, but it looks like Sweet Crown's going to gain the lead back from Justas. We go towards the first chicane. Yes, he is. Can Cucumber go around the outside, gets enough space, but no, it's as you were at the front with Alp. Now
Montana and Pease. Montana and Pease on the exit of turn 2. Montana got squeezed by Nathan. Pease is around the outside of Curva Grande, but he's running more downforce and Montana survives. But Montana is derating already towards turn 4. Justas and Sweet Crown battling again. Justas takes the lead, and look at Alp up the inside of Cucumber into Lesmo 1 through turn 6 there. They're still side by side. It's a drag race towards Lesmo 2, and Alp is going to force him wide. And look at Nathan in all of this. He catapults his way past the pair of them. And Montana, with his low downforce setup, is tucked in behind these guys. He's waiting for something to happen, an opportunity to pounce. He's having to lift off into Ascari as they go through now. We've still got 5 laps to go here. It is by no means over. Pease has got to run. He hits the back of Montana. He's using all of his ERS because Montana's derating now. Mohamed's pick up the penalty. And I think Pease might have just nabbed this off Montana. He has. He's taken P6 into the Parabolica. And he's up her place, and that'll frustrate Montana no end. We're seeing that penalty for Pease. It's a redundant overtake for Pease, but it's one that's bitterly frustrating for Montana and his progress. And who's making a move? Alp is in the slipstream of Nathan. He's now pulling out, and he's ahead of Nathan towards turn 1 into the braking zone. He gets the car slowed down. He's on 1 point so far this season, as Nathan's had a mistake there. He's desynced from somebody. He went ghosted through there. Cucumber as well. And Pease, I don't know if he had to take avoiding action. Penalty for Felipe. Montana's all in this as well. Something happened there between Cucumber and Nathan into turn 1, because they were both ghosted momentarily. And it's just breathless, isn't it? Absolutely breathless.
Absolutely, great racing all round really at the moment as well. And I must say the wily old fox of NSX Montana didn't really, of course he could have got in a lot of battles there, but he kind of made sure he didn't get into any problems, because any points of course will help him in his championship fight at the moment. But Justas out front, he can't pull away from the Red Bull driver of Sweet Crown at the moment, but I'm sure he'll definitely settle for a P2 if that happens in the end, gaining some points back on his championship rival. But at the moment, top 4 fighting out for the lead of the race, and yes, more contact down the field, and it looks to me like Montana is really kind of in a race of his own at the moment, waiting for things to happen out front. But like I say, so much contact going on. Let's see what happens with 5 laps to go after this one.
It was just Julbream hitting the back of Maledictus into Ascari, and we've got Campbell looking like he might be pushing Julbream through Parabolica. We're on to lap 24 now. 4 to go in this race. Gary passes Rocco on the exit of the last corner and takes P12. That's for the last point. And the battle for the lead. Yes, 3 wide into turn 1. It's Alp who takes the lead briefly. Sweet Crown's up the inside. Alp's got the inside for turn 2. And then there's going to be a traction race out of turn 2 towards Curva Grande. And look at Nathan. He's passed Justas down to P4 and into the clutches of Cucumber there as they come round turn 3.
Incredible racing all around from everybody here. Let's see as we go towards the second chicane now. It's just absolutely breathless racing. Justas was in P1 going towards the first chicane, now down into P4. Cucumber right on the back of him as well. Montana waiting in the wings behind Pease as well in case any contact happens up front. But Sweet Crown is now under pressure from Alp, who set the fastest lap. And from out of nowhere, it looks like QVR Alp is now in pole position to win this race with a few laps to go as the DRS open for everybody now. Justas getting on the back of Nathan. Can he get a move into Ascari? I don't think he has the straight line speed. No, he doesn't. And Nathan as well could potentially have gone past Alp, but none of them have actually made a move in the end, and it's just absolute anarchy going through Ascari at the moment. But with 3 laps to go after this one, I have no idea what's going to happen, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, we've got a top 7 who look pretty tied together. There's a gap back to Julbream of 0.8 of a second as they come through Parabolica for the 24th time. 3 laps to go now, and it's Sweet Crown who leads from Alp, from Nathan, from Justas, from lead of the Grand Prix into turn 1. He outbreaks Sweet Crown. He has the inside line. He pinches off and cuts off the inside of turn 2 as well. Sweet Crown defends from Nathan, and look at Justas still trying to make something happen. He's got overtake. In effect, we've got a collision at the back with Felipe, Rocco and Mohamed at turn 2. Here comes Justas up the inside. He's going to careful. He doesn't get boxed in here, but he passes Nathan. He forces Nathan to the outside. There's contact between them, and they just about slip their way through there. And Montana up the inside of his NSX colleague there, Cucumber, into turn 6. That's Lesmo 1. And Pease could make it double trouble for Cucumber into Lesmo 2. He has to back out. And Montana into 5th place. Justas 3rd. Justas was 2nd in this race. Montana was 9th. There's now only 2 places between them. Justas isn't getting the differential he needs in the championship here to make something happen as Julbreen passes Pease into Ascari for P7.
Absolutely great racing, like we said, 2 laps to go now. You can look at Alp up front as well, just trying to weave to get as rid of all the slipstream as possible. But like we said as well, Montana, you know, he didn't have the tyres that we wanted, but he's just slowly but surely pulling up the grid. Like you said as well, Justas would have been so happy at the restart to see his championship rival so far behind, but now he's only 2 places behind him with 2 laps to go after this one. So going towards turn 1, will Sweetcrown potentially go for a move up front? It doesn't look like he is doing at the moment. He's sticking behind, but one man who is looking to make a move is Nathan on Justas. Can he potentially go on? No, he doesn't. Sticks behind, but look at the amount of cars fighting. Oh, it's Pease down the inside. Hits potentially Montana. Almost hits him. That's put Cucumber on the back of him as well. As Rocco retires from the session, Maledictus gets a 3-second time penalty. Anarchy at turn 1 at the moment, and Montana's still in P5 at the moment, but Julbreen up into P6 because Pease has made a mistake and is now down into P11.
This is frenetic, frantic, exhilarating stuff. We're not used to seeing this level of action in a train, in a DRS train no less. Here's Cucumber up the inside of Campbell into turn 6 there. The 2 Season 9 championship rivals, and they're going to go side by side into Lesmo 2. Campbell's very giving with the space, and Cucumber can't get the exit he needs. They've both got DRS, they're both derating, red lights blinking away, but Campbell is now a look of Verstappen up the inside of the pair of them towards Ascari, and Gary's coming through as well. It's an Alpha Tauri surge, and they're side by side through Ascari through turns 8, 9 and 10. And what on earth is going on as we come on to the last lap of the race? Look at this behind. I don't know what to say about this. Here comes Cucumber up the inside of Campbell into turn 11. There's bumping between Gary and Izat there. And he's been sucked up into the battle there. Let's quickly go to the lead. We're on to the last lap. Here comes Sweetcrown. Attacking out Justas as well. Justas is going to try to force his way through the middle of the pair of them, is he? He's boxed in, and he's got the inside of turn 2. And it's Sweetcrown who looks like he might have played this perfectly. He's got a lead as well because Alp and Justas were shoddy on their exits, and Nathan, can he get a run around the outside of turn 3? God knows what's going on in that battle for P7 further back, and Nathan's backing off. He's letting Alp attack. Justas ahead of him, Alp round the outside, cuts the corner, and there's contact. And look at Montana sneaking round, and then contact again as Julbreen comes up our inside, and he makes a double overtake on Nathan and on Montana as well. And then Nathan scythes his way past Montana. Montana can't afford to give up too much here. He needs the points, but he's got a drag. He's got the slipstream on Nathan. He's onto the grass coming round the outside towards the Ascari chicane for the final time. Behind them, Cucumber and Campbell resume hostilities. And Cucumber looks like he's come out of that one on top. Gary gets a costly last lap penalty at Ascari. It's going to be Sweetcrown that wins this race in the end by 2 seconds from Justas. But what about Montana? Can he do anything about Nathan to the last corner? No, he can't. But look at this behind them. We've got 3 wide. It's Pease, it's Gary, it's Alp into the last corner, and Pease is spun round, and he's collected by Izat and Verstappen, and to the line. It's a drag race with Maledictus and Izat, and both Gary and Alp as well. Gary's penalty makes it a trivial matter. Alp takes P8, Campbell P7. It was a Sweetcrown win from Justas and Julbreen. Nathan is P4, Montana 5th, Cucumber 6th, Campbell 7th, Alp 8th, Izat 9th, Crico 10th, a double top 10 for the Williams, and the Alpha Tauris complete the points. They will be disappointed with that result, although I imagine they'll be feeling somewhat fortunate to get 3 points out of that after Verstappen had heavy contact on the last lap. Maledictus 13th, Felipe 14th. Mohammed is going to be our last finisher in 16th. Pease was a non-finisher on the last lap. Rocco, Matt 240 and Marty as well. My word.
I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, honestly, those last few, this is the stuff we wait for. This is what kind of makes us fall in love with sim racing, because that was absolutely amazing. Some great battles, a bit of bumping, bit of barging, and yes, I would very much agree with what that says on screen. I would 100% give driver of the day to Julbreen personally. An incredible race from the Hash driver to get up into P3. Potentially could have been more if you'd put them hards on at the first safety car to keep them out in front. But yeah, what a race. Incredible from Sweet Crown as well to get the race victory in the Red Bull. I mean, what can you say? Topsy-turvy race. I'm sure one man who'll definitely be happy with that was Justas, actually, with all the trials and tribulations he went through this race in this week on this day. The gap comes down at the top, but what a race all round. Incredible.
There's not much happiness in the D1 chat. Montana says, yep, this is officially worse than open lobbies. Philippe says, WTF, lads. Gary says, a slur I can't repeat probably on stream. Jilbroom says, what on earth? Montana says, embarrassing. Alp says, Wouter was the only clean driver. That's Sweet Crown, of course. Felipe says, what a joke. P says, you guys are dog poo. And Gary says, what are you trying? Back to peas. Yeah, there's a lot of animosity, I think, and a lot of steward reports potentially incoming. But in the end, our point score is top 12 covered by 9.8 seconds. Sweet Crown wins from Justas and Jewelbream. That's your podium. Nathan, Montana, Cucumber, Campbell, Alp, Isaac, Kriko, Verstappen, Gary are your point scorers. Then Maledictus, Felipe, Mohammed, Pease, Rocco, Matt240, and Marty. Those last four non-finishers. And yeah, what a race. We are going to have to end the stream fairly abruptly. Not that anyone sticks around for the post-amble anyway, because I need to go and host Division 2 because a certain QVR chill won't be there. But I'll hand back to you. Anything you want to say to wrap up a manic week of D1? It was the best qualifying we've seen, and then it was far and away the best race as well. What a week.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, what can you say? I mean, obviously the guys at the front who did qualify in the top four, the one man who really did well there, of course, it was Sweet Crown who got the race win in the end. But Jewelbream as well, oh, what a race from him. Made the decision to pit early on under the safety car, and that meant he had fresh tyres to get back through the field, from 16th to 3rd. What a race from the German driver. I'll 100% give him driver day if it was my choice. But more of that, please. We've got more races to come. Let's bring more of that, please, lads. You're speechless, aren't you? You're just absolutely speechless from what happened.
I am sorry, I was muted. I said I was going to say it gets better because next week is Monaco, so that will be that will be fun. Hopefully it's wet and then we get 15 safety cars. Although the safety cars never come out of Monaco because the game hates.
There's a glitch.
But from myself and Oxide Nova, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Imminently, we have Division 2 with NSX Montana, and I don't know who the other commentator is. I think it's Montana by himself, actually. So Montana Solo comes in D2. That's in 26 minutes' time. You can watch us make a fool of ourselves there. Although you had a very good race at Imola, it must be said, didn't you? You were absolutely on fire there. I was not on fire at Imola. I was very soggy. I was a soggy biscuit at Imola. Division 4 with QBR Verstappen, and I'm not sure who. And then we'll be back again same time next week, 6:30 British summertime, although that will soon be Greenwich Mean Time, and we'll all be miserable and cold and dark. But yes, until then, thank you for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure, and one well worth watching again, I think. Until then,